Hello and welcome to this Coach Me to Lead live stream today on LinkedIn. I'm welcoming my guest, uh, Ruben Munoz Aguilera.
Thank you, Arno. Really, I'm super happy to be here with you. We know each other for a while, and it's really, I, very nice to be here. So thank you.
Yeah, and I agree. We know each other now for quite some time now. And it's, of course, also why I've invited you, because it's always easier to invite with the first shows people you know and um, ask familiar questions. That's always easier. So, if you have any questions for Ruben, let's see if I have to show this one. Then, yeah. So then you can ask them in the comment section on LinkedIn, and if everything goes all right, we should see them here and can answer your questions. That should be nice. And I will just showcase your name here. That's just you. We are talking to you, Ruben Munoz
Munya,
Aguilera.
perfect. Yeah, very good. I think this is going good.
I'm almost Spanish, right?
Yeah, it's cannot you cannot mistake the. It's very Spanish.
So, but you are from Spain, but if I look at the mountains in your background, it doesn't feel like Spain to me.
Yeah, not exactly. Yeah, so I have been living in the last, I think that almost nine years already in Switzerland. Located in Winterthur, and yeah, so this is where I live now.
And that is a ski area?
The one that is in the picture behind?
No, where you are.
Not really. We are not far away, but it's kind of. You need at least 1 hour to get to a ski resort. But yeah, I would say 1 hour is not also very far away, but it's.
And I see. I'm I'm a person who likes warm seasons. Why did you move from Spain to Switzerland?
Oh, why? Yeah, I don't know. I think that before moving to Switzerland, I lived for a couple of years in Germany before. Okay, so in Freiburg, that is also not very far from Switzerland. Was very nice, but at that time I was really traveling a lot. So my job at that time required a lot of traveling. I was traveling all around the world, and was kind of almost 70% of my time. So it was really demanding in terms of travel. So yeah, I decided to, for also other reasons, to look for a different setup, for me and for my family. And this is why I decided, I found a good opportunity here in Switzerland. I decided to go for it, and also to relocate my family here. So, which is, and I think that is, frankly speaking, is a fantastic place to live. So it was a good decision from my point of view.
What makes it so fantastic to live for you?
I think that this is the way of living here. I don't know. Maybe is that, for example, if I take the place where I live, that is Winterthur, um, is a place that is not very big, but it's also not very small. So you have a lot of services. A lot of different things, but it's not a super big place to live. Like, for example, Madrid, where kind of, it's a nice place. It's super nice, but doing something in Madrid always takes a lot of time. So moving from point A to point B takes, 1 hour kind of is the is the average time, to go from one place to the other. And really, for having kids and family, sometimes it's not the best thing. So here I think that, or I see that I can manage, let's say, um, my work responsibilities, and also my family side in a better way, than maybe living in an area like Madrid, like I was living before. So
Right. And as I see, because every time when you talk about what you tell, and also in your bio, you say you're a father. That's the first thing you say, and you
yeah.
talk about family, and it sounds very logical to me. it sounds like you made similar decisions than I once did. Why is what kind of changes did you make in your professional life to make also family like a central part of your life?
Hmm. Yeah, so I think that um, the first one was the one that I mentioned. Kind of how can you make how can you combine your work life with your family life without not being completely missing from one of them. So, and in this case, my the job that I mentioned before, it was really not very compatible with a family life, and then so you need to make decisions sometimes. So you need to look for something different that is allowing you to be more present, with your wife. I mean, your small, your baby, etc. So at that point in time, is kind of sometimes it's difficult, but some these are decisions that you need to understand what is the priority there, So and then try to accommodate. Um, uh, so this is always trying to make sure that you don't neglect something, in this case. So it's not so easy sometimes, but that at least you make sure that you have your presence, that you are, I mean, you are there, Otherwise, why do you have a family? Why do you decide to have a baby? I don't know. These kind of things are important. So if you decide to go for that, also you need to try to accommodate the rest of the things to that you have decided. That is so important. So
And you mentioned the word decide a
yeah,
number of times now, and I'm all for making conscious decisions, right? So thinking really thoughtfully about long-term decisions. And you say, well, you decide to have a family, decide to have a child,
yes,
and you decide to move to Switzerland to accommodate your family and to bring them to you. And it sounds so easy, but how do you prepare these decisions? How do you what kind of process do you use to make these huge life decisions?
I mean, first, I think that I mean, these are things that you don't decide alone. I mean, on your own, So in this case, I mean, in the case of the family, I think that this is something that you always, you need someone else, to make those decisions as well. But that through conversations and that you are capable of sharing exactly, what is the way that you see that things should happen. That you have an idea of, yeah, what is good, what is fantastic, what is not so good, that you have these kind of flavors in or ideas of how you would like to manage your life, understanding what is more or less feasible or more or less realistic as well, okay, because not everything can be accommodated all the time, but at least you have certain kind of north star, in that direction, together with your partner, So in this case, with my wife. So I think that this is the first thing, and then I think that it's also that once you take the decision, you start. For example, when I moved to Switzerland, my family was not with me, But what I decided is, okay, if I want to create the space here, I need to start kind of setting a day or preparing the day in a very similar day, in a very similar way than if they were already here, So kind of, okay, I need to finish at a certain point of time in the afternoon. I don't, because if my family is here, I want to make sure that that I have time for them, um, and then starting very early, because this is also something that I really like. Then you can really accommodate the afternoon for your family. So you start putting certain things in your day, even if they are still not here, and then you create that space for that to happen. And I think that for me that was really important, So this is my decision, and I'm gonna move my family to Switzerland. So it was a big change, and my commitment was, okay, I need to create the right space as well. So even if they're not here, I'm gonna try to, let's say, to set up the scene already as they are here, to make sure that everything is gonna work as well.
It's like, is that like a practice? You practice before it really happens?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, that's correct. So, and then you can see that you can sustain, what you have, let's say, discussed or agreed. Then you see that yeah, if I do things in that way, I make sure that I do my work, but I'm sure also that I can be available at a certain point in time. I mean, it's not like 100% of the days, but at least that 80 or 90% of the time you're gonna be capable of responding to that. So or being or respecting what you think that what you promise, what you said that you want to do.
But you work at a pretty large international firm,
Mm,
and I can expect, because you're a global risk manager at this
yeah.
firm, I can understand that it's a pretty demanding job. I think these are things, because you moved to Switzerland, you accepted this job, and I remember because we were having these meetings every week when you did this, and I can imagine that it's in in reality when you do the practice on your own, but in reality it's going to be different because the job is more demanding than you think it will be. You have urgencies coming up, and how do you still protect that time that's valuable to you or to your family and to your family?
Right. So, I mean, it's absolutely true that, I mean, if I tell you that I'm capable of doing that 100% of the time, I mean, it's really not. I mean, it's a lie. I mean, that doesn't happen. So, and as you said, so I think that I mean, it's not just for me. I think that is for many people. Our jobs are demanding, and I think that, I mean, this is also something that probably we are also looking for. I mean, that we are looking for jobs that have let's say a relevance, where you really make an impact, so where you are doing something that is meaningful, and then you also want to do your best, at work. I mean, you want to be there, and you want to make sure that you deliver I mean, that you have a good contribution. But yeah, I think that in this case, what I'm doing is trying to set really boundaries in terms of, okay, this is the time that I should finish, So, and most of the days I can do it. Some of other days I need to, I need to arrange that with my wife, and then she's doing something, because I cannot do it that day, with my daughter, or I cannot be present that day. Sometimes you also have business trips. It's not like I have, right now a very, let's say, complicated situation with that, but also you need to arrange for that. So it's also a bit of flexibility in the family, but that at least um, um, you are sending the message to the family that you have a commitment, with that. It's not like it's the last thing in my agenda, And I think that this also matters, how do you deal with that? If with the people that you live, they see that, okay, you say something, but then is the last thing in your agenda at the end of the day, yeah, then, okay, you say something and you do something completely different. So they're not going to really take you very seriously that.
Do you think it is important? I need to rethink that question. Um, do you feel, how do you feel about that, your wife's flexibility? How because there's two of you, you and your partner, and you have to discuss at moments when it doesn't work out as you planned, that you expect, like, no, you did not expect, but you build on the flexibility of your partner on to take care of other things as well.
Yeah.
I see the right now in the Netherlands, it's still an unbalanced looking at part-time work, right? So the man usually is not working part-time, working like 40 hours a week, or maybe 38, but that's about it. And the female is just working like 24 hours, because
Right.
that's the solution to create the flexibility around children. How do you see that differently in your area? Do you see that there's a more balanced way, or do you feel that it's necessary to get this more balanced between male and female, woman and man?
Yeah, I would say that this is a kind of yeah, I don't know how to approach that. I mean, it's a difficult question, but how I see, I mean, I think that when you decide to have family, sometimes, I mean, I think that one way or the other, you need to let's say, to do some adjustments, and yeah, this is gonna be, the male, the female, how this is gonna be arranged in the family. It's true that normally here, I don't know, what I see here in the is like, most of the times for sure, I mean, the woman is the one that is staying at home for a while, and then she goes back, to work. In many cases, as you said, maybe not full time, but I don't know, maybe 60 or 80% of the time, and then the man continues to work in 100% of the time. I don't know. In my case, I don't know. It's kind of, it's not something that, for example, if I would have the opportunity to work less and then my wife had a full job, I think that for me would be also okay. So but it depends on, again, how the setup in the family is, and how both are, I don't know if they're very career oriented, etc. So I, it's so diverse, so
Yeah, I think it is a very difficult topic, as I see it in the Netherlands, and it varies per country. But as you can see in Scandinavia, there's a lot more attention for this. There's a lot
yeah,
more diversity on this, and also when you talk about that you take leave because you have like a new child, a newborn child, um, both the woman and the man, both partners, if I don't talk traditionally, I should say both partners, yeah, have the opportunity to take leave, to take time off because of the newborn child. And I think that's one of the conditions you need to create as a country, as a culture, to do that. And the second one is that you have good ways to um, for the kids to stay somewhere, right? So
right,
it's not too expensive, so that it doesn't cost you a fortune to bring your child somewhere. Otherwise, it's going to be often a question of, do I want to work more and leave my child somewhere, or do I stop working and just take care of my child, because otherwise it's going to be too expensive. And if you do
absolutely,
that, in general, the female will be left behind and will just make less money. So there's always the gap between the male and the female will continue to be there. So these are, I think, two very important things to arrange as a country, as a culture, maybe, if you want to make sure that the gap between how much a woman and a man earns in the same job at the same conditions, um, you have to take care of the arrangement
right.
around the child.
Agreed. Yeah, I think that this is very, as you said, this is very important. How the, let's say, everything is set up, to allow you to do that or not. It's gonna be very difficult, or it's gonna be relatively easy to do it, and then you decide what to do. I agree that this is, yeah.
So I know from the meetings that we had that you very, and I remember that you were very cautious and thoughtful about how you started into your new job. You followed a process from a book, but also you had these really great pictures and images of how you pictured your life, the future.
Right.
Why is that important? Why is it important to you? And why do you think other people should do this too?
Right. So I think that yeah, this is yeah. Thank you. I think that this is, very very nice question. I'm I am I really like to have, I think that, a north star or something that is pulling from me. Kind of some kind of aspirational target. And I really like going into this area where you start kind of designing, okay, what you would like to do, how what are the things that you would like you would like to be capable of doing as well, or the skills or the things that you would like to acquire, as a person, or who you would like to become as well. So all these kind of exercises I really like, going into that. And I think that, sometimes changes, like changing a job, or changing a country, or I don't know, this is kind of special moments where um, um, I really like to do this exercise, so it's not like I'm every day kind of doing this, but there are special moments where I really like to go into that, and in that case, I was really working before, with a coach that she's fantastic. I mean, she was also working for Coachdotme, Paula Pascu, and she really helped me to go into this discovery. I was doing, okay, asking questions and then trying to define, how would you like to be, that your day is going to be, what are the things that you would like to do, etc. All this kind of, and really like going into this exploration of the future. And then having your dream board, as this is the one that I think that you mentioned, and then moving this dream board into, okay, now let's take certain things and move them into projects, so things that you can certain chunks of it that you bring to the reality. Okay, can I bring this to the reality? Can I do this? Can I why not taking this, and then doing something for it, in a more precise way, than just having a dream board, because a dream board is nice, but then it's okay. I mean, it can be fantastic, but then nothing happened, and then you take parts of it, the ones that are maybe more relevant for you at a certain point in time, and then you break them in small projects, and you see how it goes.
And so helping a coach was really helping you there, but you also had a book. What book was it that guided you through the first 100 days of your job?
Yes, that's correct. So it was about your first 100 days. Yes, and I think that it was a fantastic book. I mean, I really like going to books and I mean reading them for sure. But I at that time I was also a bit let's say sometimes I tend, or I maybe less now, but kind of consuming things, So let's go to a book, and then you read a book, and then you go to the next one, and then you open, I don't know, and then you go to three articles, and then at the end, what, So what
Right.
happened with that? So you just consume things, which is, I mean, you are exposed to new ideas, and this is kind of it's nice to discover all these kind of things, but then I said, okay, I mean, we need to get something out of this process. It's not like just going to the next thing and to the next thing and then reading and then that. So let's take the book, and then let's go through the steps, and then let's prepare the ground, because I want to do, for sure, if I make a change, is because I want to do something better. I want to do something good. I want to make a good impact, etc. And I really like the process, of bringing, what was in the book to reality. So I think that was really a very nice experience, and also using that in other areas, So for example, I really like the concept of learning as well, So because I'm a curious person, that I like to, to learn about many different things. So for example, at work, so I propose to start kind of a group where we can take a book, and bring those topics, or the different topics that are discussed in the chapters, into kind of a discussion that is going to help maybe the team, to go into the topics, and then to dig deeper, and then maybe to take decisions, or to consider that topic in a different way. I'm bringing something useful, to their lives and to their job. So really like that approach, So taking books, and also bringing other things, related to the book. It's not only that you need to be, super constrained to that particular book, but through the book you get something done.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I will get to that in a bit, because I want to dig a bit deeper. But also, Gwen Riedel says hi,
um,
and she says, "Thank you for the experience, for sharing your experience. How did you move to Spain, to Switzerland, impact your career? And did you find more opportunities to grow? And was that part of your decision?" So let me repeat that. How did you move from Spain to Switzerland impact your career? And did you find more opportunity to grow?
yeah, I think that is moving abroad, because I'm from Spain, is always, I think that is I mean, sometimes it was not a very difficult decision for me, but I think that is opens you the opportunity. I mean, yeah, I think that you probably broaden your opportunities in terms of for professional opportunities. I think that this is something that is there. You get a bit more, let's say, how to say, flexible in terms of how do you approach changes. I think that this is also something important, that you don't get super or very accommodated to a one situation, a one environment. so you feel already that you are capable of doing certain things, and I think that this is, I don't know if this is kind of, you can see that from the outside, but from the inside, is something that is very helpful. You feel more capable, of facing challenges or facing changes. So I don't know if, I mean, it really impacted my career in moving, let's say up the ladder, etc. But I think that opened really doors to me that were, probably not available if I didn't move. So
Yeah, and you talk about opening yourself to like unusual situations, different culture, different language. So as I just put up the picture of your web of the your profile on Coach.me, and you can see that where you're standing in the middle, um, you're standing in the snow and in the cold, and I think that's a similar thing, right? Because you have this idea of having this um, cold morning shower, and I
yeah.
really can't understand it. But anyway, this is something that you do. You live from these experiences, to my opinion, um, where you come out of your comfort zone, and it really helps you in all other situations in your life, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I, yeah, this is, yeah, I mean, this case, the cold showers or the Binhoff method. Um, I remember, for example, when I did the instructor training, of the Binhoff method. Uh, Everybody was, I mean, we had a few sessions, and then, the different people that was there, to go through the process. They were explaining, okay, why, they wanted to do this, and what was the kind of the trigger for them to be there. And there were just amazing stories, people overcoming, super, big difficulties, or healthy topics, issues, or psychological, so really, kind of going through very painful things, and I was there. Okay, I mean, this is just fantastic. I was there. This is incredible. But I was completely lost at the time. I say, okay, and now I should explain to people that I'm here because I see that as a superpower, that is super nice for me, and it's probably completely relevant. I don't know, but when you mentioned, so yeah, I'm doing these kind of things because, I mean, they are attracting to me in the sense that you can do something that is relatively simple, because when we are talking about the Binhoff method, is really, I mean, cold exposure and breathing exercises. That is not rocket science. I mean, you don't need to go to, I don't know, to the moon to do it. Uh, you just need to dedicate some, I mean, to be consistent and doing that, on a regular basis, and the cold shower, you can do it. And then, you want an ice bath, you can just go, to the service station, buy ice, and then you you put it on your bathtub, and then you do it. And that brings you, what I see is that, yeah, it's kind of, for me, it's a superpower, that you invest a bit on it, and you get really amazing benefits, and yeah, this is something that I try to do in my life as well, trying to get these small things that bring me certain benefits that I see as kind of small superpowers. I don't know, this is a bit silly maybe, but this is how I see it.
Yeah, and I can imagine it's superpowers. Yes. So, if you look at, you say you have a program which is called Achieve Your Goals by Becoming a Self Leader. What is a self leader to you?
Okay, yeah. So self-leader, I mean, for me, is being capable of designing your future, deciding what you want to do, and then going for it, in a way that you are the one driving, let's say, your own car here. I think that we are all trying to do, I mean, many things in our lives, but I think that I don't know how much of that is really conscious. Okay. And if we really put a process behind that can get us where we want to get, so I mean, and also this is, again, is probably we're not gonna you're not gonna get to the moon with that, but you can get really to places where you are not today, if you really follow um, let's say a sequence, that again is not something that is rocket science. It's something that you just need to prepare for, okay, what you want to do, to have certain clarity, to understand what are your elements, what are already your let's say um, uh, you know uh, points of power, because you already have power over certain things. How can you leverage those, and then understanding where you are in the learning curve, what do you need to learn and where you are, and then to search for what you need to learn, and then to search for the need or guidance that you need in this case, because sometimes you need direction because you know nothing. Okay, so you need direction. In some cases you know something, but you need support because you are really struggling to go through the process. Okay, so it's how do you move through this process to make sure that you get where you want to get, in this case, in a way that is not again you can get it if you follow the steps, if you are conscious of what you are doing, etc. You can do many things.
Why did you start joining Coach.me and become a coach on that platform?
At the beginning it was a bit casual. It was not like a super. I decided that I wanted to contribute in a different way, because I was super at that point. I also had, my work, I think, that has been always, very demanding, the different companies that I have been. But then I decided that, okay, I want to have a different contribution as well. I think that I have learned certain things, I have kind of acquired certain, these small superpowers that I mentioned. And yeah, and I found in Coach.me that with a methodology that was not super complicated, super convoluted, you could really help people to move from point A to point B, in a very consistent way. And I said, okay, this is very nice because these elements, or these small superpowers can help other people. So why not trying to do that? And I have always liked, to do this kind of, to have this feeling of service. And I think this is also very, very relevant for me, that you can offer a service that is helpful and valuable for others. And again, this combination with the methodology from Coach.me, I think that was really a very good combination. So.
Do you see that you could be using it, because now you're talking about self-leader? Let's put this back up again for one more time. Becoming self-leader, that this is interesting for people who work at a company, for example?
Yeah, I think that this is this is very, especially for people that are working in a company, and I really, so I'm also focusing on people with, let's say, with young families, because this is sometimes this is where the struggle comes, when you have to mix or to balance a lot of different things, and then you don't even have the time to understand, where you want to go. And I think that this can be very, very useful, for these kind of situations, where you really want to do something, but you are struggling, with the way to move forward. Okay, so where you can bring clarity to what to this that you really want to do, and then you can really follow the steps, and I don't know, really, and I see examples where I'm helping, with this approach, friends, and I think that this is fantastic, see that you can contribute, especially with people that I think that this is really good. Everyone is if you see them moving forward and making progress, this is just super nice.
Yeah, I think that, to me, that's the most rewarding part, right? When you're coaching people, it's just for me one of the most beautiful jobs there is, because you get so much to see how people change, move forward, to close towards the goals, closer towards their habits they want to accomplish, closer to the person they want to be, and that's. I think there's nothing more rewarding than that.
I agree with you. This is just fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want to look at the program and see for yourself, I have put the on the screen. I have the QR code, and you could just use it use it with your phone, and you just go directly to the program. You can also look to his profile. You can see also the testimonials that he got so far. So yeah, I think this is a great opportunity to look at what he's doing, to look at what you are doing, Ruben.
Yeah.
And um, what is it, according to you, that um, makes it so special to? Um, no, I'm going to rephrase that question, because finding the balance between being a parent, having a job, and a demanding job, having a job, and also taking care of yourself, it's always a struggle.
Hmm.
And when you're working on one thing, you feel you're not doing enough on the other things, right? When one part of your pillars is too busy, you feel that the other ones are not taken care of enough. How do you take care of this?
Okay. Yeah. So I think that in my case, there are certain things that are fundamental. Um, I see my in this case, I see myself, or let's say one of the key elements for me is being capable of supporting my family, and for that, if you go to the let's say um, to the origin of that is, if you are not feeling in good conditions, you cannot support anyone. So for me, I go to the fundamentals of that. What is allowing me to do that? And for example, is, do I feel good? I'm in good, let's say, physical conditions, physical and mental conditions. So for me, this is the first point. Okay. So I need to make sure that whatever happened, I have a certain um, um, quality of a good sleep quality, for example, so that you sleep, a certain amount of hours, that this is kind of respected, that I do sports because this is something essential for me. So if I don't do that, I don't feel well. If I don't feel well, everything else goes wrong. So there is a need for making sure that this is part of the day, because otherwise you cannot support anything else. So if this is not there, and sometimes is you feel like, hey, you are very egoistic because you are taking time for yourself. But if you don't take that time for yourself, you are gonna, you are not doing a favor to anyone. So you need to protect that, because then you can go to, you can do your work, and then you can do what you have to do there. You can be, with your mind on what you have to do, because you are in good conditions. Okay. And then when you go back home, also you are in, let's say, in good conditions. You can continue, you are with your kids, in this case with my daughter, with my wife, and then you can be present. Okay. So um, I see that for me is fundamental, to have this to take care of myself in a way that I feel good. Otherwise, nothing else works.
Yes, I love that setup. And I have, I think, probably one remaining question now, so that we get to a closing. Is okay. So, for example, usually people, they sport in the evening, right? They
Yes.
exercise in the evening, or not exercise, but they do the sport in the evening. And um, so you had a really rough day in the office. Your boss yelled at you, and the work didn't go okay. And you come home, and your partner is not happy. The child is crying, and he's probably ill or something. So I'm not talking about selfishness, but I'm talking about, how do you pick yourself up at that time to go and still do the sport? Because the easiest thing to do would be to just drop on the couch and just sit and relax, and just maybe watch like a show on television, or watch a movie on television. How do you, at that point, at that moment, find the mental energy to make that decision to go out and sport? Because I know as well, doing the sport at that time is going to give you more energy when you come back. I know that, but at the same time, once I'm sitting down on the couch, it's over. I'm not going to do it anymore, right?
That's absolutely right. I think that this is A very good example, and that made me laugh. Yeah, I think that you have to avoid situations where there is no way back. I mean, I think that I will say that this is the first thing. I mean, you know that this is going to happen. You should try not to get there. The first time, because I mean, as you just said, willpower is limited. Okay, so at the end of the day, if everything went not really nicely during the day, or even went wrong, and then you get home, I mean, your willpower is already destroyed. I mean, you don't have any left, and then trying to go somewhere, to suffer, I mean, doing your class or whatever, a sport is just crazy. I mean, that doesn't work. So I would say don't get into that situation, and try to make sure to make things easy. So if you go back and forth to work, make sure that you take your, let's say, your sport clothes with you, and then you stop, whether before you go or whether before you come back. Period. I mean, this in your way. For sure. I mean, if you need to do a detour of 20 kilometers, then maybe you're not gonna do it. So try to make things relatively easy to do, and then don't go into the dead end, because then it's too late.
Yeah, I agree. I also use another trick is because I've joined two clubs to do this, and one of the training sessions I run is I have a friend here who lives just 100 meters from me. So we train on Tuesday evenings and we go together. So
That's
we
right.
both have like a reason to always go because the other one is going too, right? So that makes it
Right.
easier for me too. And we have a group of people who's like not maybe depending on us, but they are at least waiting for us to be there too. So that really helps a lot for me always
Absolutely.
to do the trick. And right now I'm just injured and I don't have these groups, and I can see how difficult it is for me to do it on my own. That's why
Yes.
I'm using right now a coach actually to help me on that part too. Because I think
Right,
it's
right.
if the coach can help me too, right? That's a dual thing that can do it for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So in my case, for example, I do my session, of daily, training before breakfast, before I wake up my family, because I'm used to get up very early, and when I working from home, I can put it there. So this is just, I mean, I don't need to think. I just put it there, and it just feels very good. So and you get the cold shower before you wake up the family, and you feel like Superman. So this is good.
Yeah, when I do the culture before everybody wakes up. So that's not going to happen. But how many kettlebell swings do you do now?
I mean, I do from time to time the 10,000 kettlebell swings, challenge, but yeah, but it is, yeah, I mean, it's super. I mean, this is something that you can also see progress, because you change the weight of the kettlebell, you change the workout. I mean, this is super nice with just one of these things is it's
Right.
just nice.
Ruben, it was a pleasure talking to you. I learned a lot about things about, and I know you a little bit longer, so it makes it easier just
Yeah,
not just in this talk to learn from you, but also I learned a lot about how you arranged things um, uh, when you switch a goal, how to make decisions involving your family in those decisions, practicing the decision beforehand,
right.
and setting up systems like this 100 days in your first in the job, and also how you arrange your day in a way that it is going to be very difficult to not do the things that are important to you. So that was wonderful to learn from you. Thank you very much, Ruben.
Thank you, Erno. It was really, I mean, again, a really good opportunity to share this time with you, and with anyone else that was also there watching us. So,
So, and if you want to watch this video, it will be up later this week on the blog dutchcoach.me. And also join us again next Friday, every Friday at 4 p.m. Central European Time or 9 a.m. Central Time. So that's about the time frames that we that we cover, the time zones that we cover. So and we're looking forward for you to join us and ask your questions, and we can answer them. So hope to see you next week. Thank you very much. Bye.
bye.